reminded in doing the you go to exercises, you go to 5 just numbered before this, S0426. So too with the creeeu. Patanjali does not give, in his ancient treatise, so to speak, this complex performance of Kriya Yoga, visualizing and the sounds you make in the breathing and goodness knows what else, It doesn't say, filling the lungs from the bottom to the top or anything like that, or it simply says offering the inflowing breath to the outflowing breath. And I think in the second reference, and I think there's only 2 references to it, the pause. In other words, what Patanjali gives is much more like the Hong Saw thing. You breathe in and you pause in the sense that you wait for the outgoing breath to happen. You don't just go in, out, which is how our breathing normally seems to, but the very fact that you're conscious of it starts to make that pause. It also makes a pause between the outgoing breath and the next in. But he doesn't mention that. So presumably he's emphasizing just what needs to be done or what needs to be only done. Don't have a pause between the breaths. If we're talking about something very basic and elementary, that we're just talking about the flow of oxygen to the body, and we're slowing the breath down gently, not drastically so that the body's desperately short of oxygen. Of course, on the contrary, you want the body to have whatever's needed in oxygen, which might be very low because you're just sitting still after all. After a while, it's going to be very low, isn't it? It's just whatever's needed for the mind to tick over, and your mind's pretty peaceful because the breathing's peaceful. And peaceful breathing is associated in the mind with, well, there's no danger or activity demanded, so oxygen's not going to be needed. And that's why we're breathing peacefully, and therefore it's associated with a time of peace. You see, it may be something as elementary as that. What we despise as elementary can be vital and absent much of our time. Hence, we are greatly handicapped by such. It doesn't have to be some fantastic ritual exercise that is performed for 300 years before we get anywhere, Just talking about what I used to take as a child as meditation, at the age of 11, 12, whenever it was, I was doing it with Mum. You just sit there, aware of being a yogi, sitting, meditating. It's the kiddie, isn't it? It's the child's mind. I've seen what I understand to be yogis, and what they do is they sit and apparently they have fantastic wisdom and power, and they're in touch with a universe that I know very little about, I'm impressed. So I sit there quietly, as an 11 or 12-year-old, I'm meditating. I'm sitting in the right posture too. I'm a yogi. Not to be despised. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. You think yourself into a certain role that you wish to be. An enlightened being, meditating. Well done. That's all that is required, and not to be despised. It's extremely valuable. It launches you into the eternal relationship with the divine, with God. You don't have to be, 104 and having practiced 8 hours a day for the last 50 years, meditation. You transfer straight into it. Because, as a young person, perhaps your mind is very innocent and it's not crowded and clouded by all sorts of nasty experiences. You've come to it clean, pure in heart. You see God. Fantastic progress by a child. Bless you. So, I suspect the reality of Kriya Yoga is far simpler than we're making it. We've turned it into something to impress and something that's religious and something that's, we've got to value as way beyond us at the minute, but in all humility we might get somewhere near it eventually. Absolute rubbish. It's about slowing the breathing down. You can do that by awareness of the breathing, which is the straight Buddhist approach, or you can do it by Hong Saw, which is the sort of Hindu approach, where you associate incoming and outgoing with the two sounds, Hong Saw, and no regard to gaps particularly, just waiting for the next action of the lungs, as if you were not controlling it. But of course, you're influencing the next breath like nothing on earth, because you're so aware of, I'm going to say saw when I breathe out, and is it yet? And, well, do I need to breathe out yet? You're actually creating the gap, aren't you? You're slowing the breathing down. So you bring peace to the body. And peace to the body means emotions of peace and so on going to the mind. So the mind starts to pick up thoughts associated with peace. Thoughts of God. If things are peaceful, it's because you're satisfied with. You're grateful. What does gratitude do? Brings hope, joy, more peace. Good thoughts, thoughts of God, devotion, loveliness, compassion, kindness, love, gentleness, wisdom, understanding. You know it, you've got the list. You know it in your mind anyway. It's very simple. You get the same effect by a walk in the country, in good company, not someone who's going on about the woes and fears of the world and this conspiracy theory and all the rest of the things that are wrong. Okay. It's very simple. Perhaps just someone you love. Just being with someone you love brings peace all over you. You become more spiritual just being in their company. You find you're loving the whole world. You're charitable. You're optimistic. You're creative. You're in joy. Bless you. So, it's very simple. Of course it's simple. He's made the way possible for the most simple of us and the most confused. He's made the way simple. He wants the door open to all. He's not going to be happy with anyone not arriving at the kingdom of heaven. And God will have what he wants. Thank God. Love you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. So as it reiterate, let me just emphasize it's the kiddie sitting there thinking I'm a yogi. That's exactly it. He's opening his mind to the thoughts that a yogi would have. My goodness. He's opened the door. Because of a purity of mind where he's just imagining being. It's like Creeeu learning foreign languages. He pretends in his mind, he imagines he's a local. He thinks his way into being a local person with this. Actually, I think he was learning Greek at the time when he first did it. It was either, I think it was, and it was specifically New Testament Greek. It was biblical Greek, wasn't it? And he wanted to pass an exam, so he revised by thinking his way into I'm Greek. I'm Greek. I'm a Greek person. I'm thinking in times of this language, in this way. I'm this culture. He's opening the door, and that's what you do when you go to God. You pray. What's the first thing you say if you're Jesus? Father, I establish, you see, in that one word, immediately, the relationship. I'm here as your son. Ah, okay. Well, in that case, the following is appropriate, and a whole stream of words follow that are a great blessing to us for the next 2,000 years, if anyone's got the effort to read and understand it. You have to be a bit Gnostic, yes, but I mean, it's wonderful. But do you see, he's coming not in some grovelling humility. He's coming as a son to his dad. He's saying, this is the relationship I step into. I'm your boy, your son. I trust utterly, therefore, in the relationship. You're my wonderful dad, which means you're going to help me. Love you, Dad. The door's open, isn't it? How could you say no to such a sweetheart? You want to just pick him up in your arms and bless him. And that's exactly what God does. Whether it's Jesus praying, John 17, whether it's Marshall, being a yogi, sitting there meditating. I'm a good boy. I know how to meditate. Good lad, good lad. Right. See, it's a case of coming to God with a mind that wants to love him. And what does God think? Goodness, he wants to love me. That's what he values. How lovely. What can I do for this little chap? Well, he's a bit off track there. I think we could... we need to adjust something here a bit, but what could we do? Yes, we can meet his request in this way. Yes, well, he's experiencing the peace, and he feels he's making progress. Good. Yep, we can do that. We can encourage him, can't we? How lovely. So we bring joy to God. What brings joy to God? The fact that you want to love him. The fact that you want to be his son, his daughter, his child, his friend forever. How lovely. Because that's exactly what God wanted. Loving company. And you're purposed on being it. Well, that deserves the following reward, doesn't it? I mean, I want to give you life eternal, for goodness sake. You're encouraging me to love you to bits. I did already, but you're responding well. You're a joy. You are a joy to him. Remember that when you're living, everything you do, be a joy to him. You can be and you are. Wow. I am a joy to God. This infinite being, utterly beyond my comprehension at present. I'm a joy to him. I'm his child. opening the door to full realization of being that friend of God. Wow. Thank you, Dad. Love you.